You are not empty. No, baby, you are divine. Before you ever opened your eyes, before this world gave you a name, God had already carved your soul into existence with His own hands. You were not whispered into being. You were declared. That breath you take, that steady rhythm in your chest, that is God reminding you, I am here. So why do we walk around like we are forgotten? Why do we bow our heads as if there is no crown already sitting upon it? You must act as if God is within you. Not because it's a performance, not because someone's watching, but because it is the truth. You are already carrying the power you keep praying for. Stop looking up to the sky for signs when the miracle is pulsing beneath your skin. Stop begging for strength when it's already braided into your backbone. Child, you are not waiting for God to arrive. He has been here, right inside you, always. People will tell you to be humble. And yes, humility is a fine garment to wear. But don't confuse humility with shrinking. Don't bow so low that you forget how to stand. You can walk with reverence and still own your greatness. You can bend in prayer without breaking in fear. God doesn't want you small. He doesn't get glory from your suffering. He doesn't want to see you tiptoe through life, apologizing for your shine. He placed light inside you. What are you doing hiding it? Every time you belittle yourself, you're telling the Creator He made a mistake. And I don't know about you, but I have never known God to be sloppy with His work. Every scar, every joy, every bruise, every triumph, it's all part of the divine blueprint. Even the parts you wish to forget have made you. So don't act as though you're alone in this skin. Don't walk like your prayers don't matter. Don't speak like your voice can't move mountains. If God is within you, and He is, then carry yourself like the sacred space you are. You know what it looks like when someone knows they're walking with God. It's not pride, it's presence. It's not arrogance, it's assurance. They don't run from the fire, they understand that sometimes God sends the fire not to burn you, but to reveal the gold underneath. They don't crumble when the world grows loud, they go inward, where the silence of the Spirit speaks louder than the noise of men. And when they rise in the morning, they don't just get up, they ascend. Because when you believe God is within you, waking up becomes an act of worship. Let me tell you something, you don't have to beg for worth. You don't have to audition for love. You don't have to wait for someone to anoint you when God already called you His own. You were worthy before the world tried to weigh you. You were beautiful before they told you what beauty meant. You were chosen before you were celebrated. And even if no one claps for you, even if no one recognizes your light, you still shine. Because the sun does not ask for permission to rise. So when you walk into a room, walk like it matters that you're there. Because it does. When you speak, let your words remember their source. When you cry, cry knowing that even your tears are holy. And when you love, when you love like heaven has taken residence in your heart. Because it has. This world will try to convince you that God is somewhere far off. In temples built by men, or in places too high to reach. But I am telling you now, He is not just around you, He is within you. So act like it. Move like it. Live like it, not with fear, but with fire, not with doubt, but with destiny. Act as if God is within you. Because He is. Child, this body, this temple you're walking around in isn't just skin and bone. It isn't just something to dress up and take pictures in. It is sacred, it is holy ground. When you wake up in the morning, before your feet even touch the floor, I want you to know, you are carrying something eternal. You don't just have a body. You are the vessel that carries the light of God. The kind of light that doesn't flicker when the wind blows. The kind of light that doesn't dim just because the world refuses to see it. We live in a time where folks are taught to chase the outside. Everybody wants the image. Everybody wants the approval. We dress it up, we filter it, we fix it, and we forget that this body, This very body was designed by the divine. There was intention in the way your shoulders hold burdens, in the way your hands reach to comfort, in the way your heart breaks wide open and still beats on. None of that is accidental. Not a single part of you is an afterthought. So when I say, honor the temple that carries the light, I mean this. Treat yourself like you matter. Not just when you're standing in front of somebody else's gaze. Not just when you're being applauded. I mean in the quiet. I mean when no one's watching. Feed your spirit the same way you feed your body. Speak kindly to yourself in the mirror. Don't just pray to God. Make space to hear Him. And if He made His home within you, how dare you walk like you're unwanted? You see, when you know something is sacred, you don't just throw anything on it. You don't speak to it any kind of way. You don't let people treat it like it's disposable. That's why we must teach our daughters and our sons that their worth is not in what they can offer the world, but in who they already are. And when they know that, they'll walk different. They'll speak different. They'll expect more, not because they're entitled, but because they understand their value. Called to, and carry them maybe, when you understand your value, you stop begging people to see you. You stop proving yourself to folks who wouldn't know holy if it kissed them on the cheek. You stop tolerating things that shrink your soul. Because the God in you doesn't negotiate with disrespect. The God in you isn't desperate. He's deliberate. He's precise. And if He chose you to carry His breath, then that means something. Take care of the temple. That means rest when you need to. That means forgive what tries to fester. That means don't let the weight of the world become the voice inside your head. Be gentle, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know what peace costs. Don't let stress decorate your spirit. Don't let bitterness move in like it pays rent. You were not built to be a container for chaos. You were built to carry glory, even the way you walk. Pay attention to it. Do you drag your feet like life is a burden? Or do you move like you know God walks with you? Every step you take is not just motion. It is testimony. Your presence has power. When you walk into a room, it ought to feel like something sacred just arrived. Not because of your clothes, not because of your title, but because of the energy you carry when you understand who dwells inside you. And listen. The world will try to pull you into places that don't match your calling. It'll dress you up in ideas that were never meant to fit your soul. But when you honor the temple, you'll start to recognize what doesn't belong. You'll stop forcing yourself into boxes that were never holy. You'll stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Because when you walk like a temple, you don't apologize for taking up space. You don't just pray and then go back to living like God didn't hear you. No, you become the prayer. You become the walking answer to the cries of your ancestors. You become the reminder that love still lives, that faith still works, that grace still flows. So you can't afford to dishonor the vessel. You can't afford to walk through this world numb, treating yourself like you're just a body trying to get by. You are not just surviving, you are rising, you are becoming, you are carrying light. So breathe deep, straighten your back, lift your head, not in arrogance, but in awareness. Because when you know that God lives in you, you move different. You love different. You live on purpose. And when people see you, they might not be able to name it, but they'll feel it. They'll feel the holiness. They'll feel the healing. They'll feel the presence. Act as if God is within you because He is. There is power in the tongue, child. Don't ever let the world convince you otherwise. Don't believe for a moment that your words are just sounds floating in the air. No, they are seeds. They land somewhere. They grow something. And the question is, are they growing gardens? Or are they growing weeds? When you speak, you are speaking from the well of your soul. And if God is within you, if His Spirit lives and breathes inside your very being, then your words ought to sound like healing. Your words ought to remind people of home. Your words should lift the air in the room, not crush it. You ought to leave folks better than you found them. We've all been on the receiving end of careless words. You know what I'm talking about. Those words that cut deep. Words spoken in anger, in jealousy, in bitterness. They don't just hit your ears, they settle into your spirit. Some of us are still carrying around things that were said to us 10, 20, 30 years ago. And if words can stay with us that long, if they can bruise us that deeply, then we need to take seriously what's coming out of our own mouths. I'm not saying you have to be perfect with your speech. We all get tired, we all get frustrated. But I am saying that if you truly believe God is within you, then you must speak as if heaven itself is listening. Because it is. You must speak like someone who carries light in their chest. Speak like someone who understands that truth doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Speak like someone who knows that kindness doesn't cost your strength. It reveals it. And Lord knows, this world doesn't need more noise. What it needs desperately is more healing, and healing doesn't always come wrapped in scripture. Sometimes it comes in a quiet, I believe in you. Sometimes it's a soft, you're not alone. Sometimes it's the courage to say, I forgive you, even when your pride is screaming for revenge. When you let your words be rivers of healing, you are doing holy work. You are building bridges where others have built walls. You are letting God's love move through you, word by sacred word. You don't need a pulpit to preach. You don't need a robe to bless. You don't need a title to speak life into someone. Every day you wake up, you are given a new chance to be somebody's reminder that they matter, that they're not invisible. They are loved. And when you do that, when you become the kind of person who chooses grace over gossip, compassion over criticism, peace over pettiness, that is what it means to speak with God inside you. I've seen folks tear down their own families with words that should have been swallowed. I've seen children lose their sense of self because someone told them they'd never be enough. I've seen hearts harden because someone didn't know how to say I'm sorry. But I've also seen miracles. Yes, real miracles happen when someone dared to speak from a place of love. I've seen hardened hearts soften with a simple, you didn't deserve that. I've seen souls wake back up with the words, I see you, I hear you, I love you. So don't tell me words don't matter. They do, and don't you forget, the words you speak to yourself matter just as much. Some of you have been speaking death over your own life, telling yourself you're not good enough, telling yourself you're too broken, too late, too far gone. Baby, let me tell you something. There is no expiration date on grace. As long as you've got breath in your lungs, you've got purpose in your steps. So start speaking to yourself like you are worth the love you give. Like you are still becoming. Like God didn't put all that beauty in you by mistake. If you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself. Look in the mirror and bless that reflection. Tell her she's still rising. Tell him he's still healing. Tell yourself the truth, not the lies this world has sold you. The God in you deserves to be spoken to with reverence, with care, with awe. So the next time you open your mouth, I want you to ask yourself, is what I'm about to say going to tear down or build up? Is it going to bless or burden? Is it coming from fear or from love? Because every word is a choice. And when you carry God within you, that choice becomes sacred. Speak as if your words are the hands of heaven. Gentle, firm, healing. Speak with purpose, not just volume. Speak with love, not just opinion. Speak with truth, but season it with mercy. Because once a word leaves your lips, you can't take it back. But you can make sure it leaves behind something worth remembering. Act as if God is within you because He is. There comes a time in every life when the sky grows dark, the winds shift, and the storm rolls in heavy and uninvited. That's just the rhythm of living. Trouble doesn't knock on the door politely. It barges in, flips your peace upside down, and dares you to stand firm in its presence. And baby, that's when it matters most how you carry yourself in the eye of the storm. See, it's easy to speak about faith when the sun is shining and the bills are paid. It's easy to feel holy when the phone rings with good news, when the children are laughing, when your strength hasn't yet been tested. But what about when everything around you starts to shake? What about when the phone call brings you to your knees? What about when the people you counted on vanish like morning mist? What about then? That's when you remember you were never walking alone. You must face the storm with your back straight, not because you're fearless, but because the God in you is greater than the storm outside you. Trouble doesn't mean you're abandoned. Pain doesn't mean you've been punished. And sorrow, yes, even sorrow, can be holy ground if you choose to stand in it with truth. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't cry. I'm not saying don't hurt. I'm saying don't collapse. Don't hand over your soul to fear just because the thunder got loud. You were built for more than panic. You were built with divine design. Your strength wasn't stitched together in comfort. It was forged in fire. Your courage wasn't found in the light, it was discovered in the dark. When you had every reason to give up, but you got up anyway. I've seen people wear storms like their clothes, carrying heartbreak around like it's part of their identity. But child, you are not what you've been through. You are what you choose to rise from. You are not your grief, though you've wept oceans. You are not your losses, though they have scarred you deep. You are what survives. You are what refuses to break, even when breaking would be easier. Some of us come from long lines of warriors, women who had nothing but prayer and grit, men who worked with blistered hands and quiet dignity, folks who endured without applause. That same blood runs through you. That same breath lives in your lungs. So when the world feels like it's closing in on you, you look that storm in the eye and you say, I'm still here. And sometimes facing the storm means sitting with yourself, not pretending you're okay, not rushing to distract, but actually sitting down and letting the silence speak. Because that's where God does some of his best work, when it's quiet, when it's still, when you finally stop running and just be. That's when you remember the power that's already inside you. You've been carrying resilience like a second skin and didn't even know it. Every time you showed up when you wanted to stay in bed. Every time you loved again after being hurt. Every time you forgave someone who never said sorry. That was you facing the storm with your back straight. That was you walking like someone who knows they've been called, not crushed. I know it hurts. I know you get tired. I know sometimes you whisper, God, just give me a break. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to feel that. But don't you let your weary bones convince you that the story is over. The enemy would love for you to believe that. He'd love for you to stop fighting, stop hoping, stop praying. But baby, that's exactly when you must dig deeper. That's when you must lift your chin, square your shoulders, and remember who you belong to. Storms don't last forever. They shake, they howl, but they pass. And when they do, the ones who stood tall, not proud but present, are the ones who grow. The ones who kept their backs straight become stronger, not in spite of the storm, but because of it. They learn to trust what they can't see. They learn to lean on a strength that isn't theirs alone. And in time, they become the calm they used to pray for. You will be that calm for someone else one day. You will be the voice that says, you're going to make it. Because you did. You'll be the hand that reaches back. Because you remember what it felt like to be in the dark. Your storm will not be wasted. Your pain will not be meaningless. If you walk through it with intention, with grace, with that divine fire in your belly, you will come out not just alive, but anointed. So let them call you strong. Let them say you were stubborn in your hope. Let them say you wouldn't bend. You just smile and tell them the truth. I stood tall because I knew I wasn't standing alone. Act as if God is within you because He is. There is something holy about walking in integrity. Something sacred about choosing what's right, even when it's hard, even when no one's clapping for you. This world will tempt you to compromise, to water yourself down, to shrink your truth to fit someone else's comfort. But I came to remind you, if you say God is within you, then you don't have the luxury of living halfway. You've got to live like it matters, not just in public, not just when the lights are on and the cameras are rolling. I'm talking about in the quiet corners, when no one's watching, when nobody's going to congratulate you. That's when character is built. That's when you find out who you really are. Because integrity isn't about what you say you believe. It's about what you do when it costs you something. Some people have confused popularity with purpose. They'll sell their peace just to be liked. They'll trade their values for applause. But baby, applause fades, attention fades, trends fade, but the way you carry your soul, that stays with you. You've got to lay your head down at night and know you didn't betray yourself just to belong. You've got to look in the mirror and be proud of the reflection staring back at you, not just because she looks good, but because she stood tall in her truth when it would have been easier to bend. I've seen folks gain the world and lose themselves in the process. I've seen them climb ladders that weren't even leaning on the right wall. And when they got to the top, they found out it was empty, lonely, shallow. That's what happens when you build your life on image instead of substance. That's what happens when you perform instead of live. You don't need to pretend to be perfect. Lord knows none of us are. But you do need to be honest. You need to be consistent. Not because you're trying to impress people, but because you're honoring the God within you. If He lives in you, then your choices ought to reflect that. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. It might mean walking away from situations that look good but feel wrong. It might mean telling the truth when a lie would be more convenient. It might mean choosing peace when your pride wants revenge. That's what integrity looks like. That's what it means to live like your life is holy. And let me tell you something, integrity won't always be celebrated. Some people will call you difficult when you refuse to play along with what's broken. Some people will distance themselves from you because your truth makes them uncomfortable. Let them. If your light offends their shadow, that's not your problem to solve. Your job is to stay lit, to stay rooted, to stay real. Living like it matters means you don't take shortcuts. It means you honor your commitments. It means you treat people right. Not just the ones who can help you, but the ones who have nothing to offer but their humanity. It means you pay attention to how you show up in the world, not just on your best day, but when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when nobody's watching. Because that's where your integrity lives, in the small, daily, ordinary choices that no one will ever see but God. And yes, you're going to fall short sometimes. That's part of the journey. But don't let your failure become your identity. Learn the lesson, apologize when needed, make it right, and then get back to walking with your head held high. Integrity isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful. It's about returning to your center every time you drift. It's about living in a way that says, I know who I am, and I refuse to be anyone else. The world needs people who are anchored, who aren't swayed by every wind that blows, who don't compromise their soul for comfort, who aren't out here chasing validation like it's oxygen. You don't need permission to be real. You don't need approval to be honest. You just need courage, and trust me, that courage is already inside you. It came with your breath. So choose the path that honors your spirit, even if it's the narrow one. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. Be kind even when the world is cruel. Keep your heart clean, even when others try to dirty your name. You are not here to blend in with brokenness. You are here to stand out in love, in grace, in integrity. When the day is done, and the noise fades, and the crowd goes home, may you be able to say, I showed up with my whole self. I lived like it mattered. I didn't just exist, I honored the light within me. Act as if God is within you, because He is. When you walk like God is within you, you begin to understand that your life is not just your own. You are connected to people you'll never meet, to hearts you'll never see, to lives you touch simply by how you choose to show up. That's the beauty and the weight of living with purpose. It means every step you take carries more than just your name. It carries hope, legacy, and love that outlives the moment. You don't have to be famous to be impactful. You don't have to have a stage or a microphone. You don't need a spotlight to shine. Some of the most powerful work happens in the quiet, unseen moments when you show up for somebody who's hurting, when you listen without fixing, when you reach out even though you're tired too. That's how you leave a mark, not by trying to impress the world, but by choosing to love it anyway. Piece by piece, soul by soul. Some people spend their whole lives trying to be remembered, but the ones who matter most are the ones who tried to make others feel remembered. That's the real impact. It's not about how many people know your name. It's about how many hearts you've softened, how many lives you've lifted, how many people feel less alone because you showed up and stood firm in love. When you live with God inside you, you don't just pass through life, you transform it. Every room you enter becomes a little warmer. Every person you meet feels a little safer. And that's not because you're perfect or powerful, but because you are present. You are anchored. You are a reflection of something eternal. And sometimes you'll never see the fruit of what you planted. That's the hard truth. You might speak life into someone who forgets to thank you. You might help someone stand tall again, and they may walk right past you later without a word. But if you did it from love, from truth, from the God within you, then you didn't do it for credit. You did it because that's who you are. And that's enough. The ripples of your kindness stretch far beyond what your eyes can measure. A soft word to someone at the edge might stop them from giving up. A moment of patience might remind a child they're not too much. A generous act, even small, might restore someone's belief in humanity. You are always making impact, even when it feels invisible. Don't underestimate the sacred weight of being good to people in a world that keeps giving them reasons not to believe in goodness. And your legacy, your real legacy, is written not in grand speeches or gold plaques. It's written in the way people breathe easier around you. In the way your children or your neighbor's children or a stranger's child sees in you a reason to believe they can be something greater. It's written in the courage you pass on simply by being courageous, by refusing to bow to fear, by choosing love again and again and again. This world will tell you to chase money, status, relevance. But what good is all of that if your soul is starving? What good is it to climb ladders that lead nowhere wholly? I'd rather you live quietly and truthfully and leave behind a trail of light than to scream your name into the void and be forgotten by morning. Your time here matters. Your energy is needed. Somebody is praying for the strength you carry without even realizing it. Somebody is watching you survive and thinking, if they can, maybe I can too. That is power. That is impact. That is legacy. And let me say this too. Your pain is not wasted. Your wounds have wisdom. Your scars tell stories someone else needs to hear. Don't be ashamed of what you've endured. Let it be the soil where your compassion grows. Let it be the reason you lead with empathy. Because someone out there is walking through what you've already survived. And they need to know they're not alone. You don't need to change the whole world. But if you can change one life, if you can ease one burden, If you can bring joy to one heart, then you are doing God's work. You are fulfilling your calling. You are making the kind of impact that heaven pays attention to. So live with open hands and a grounded heart. Let your days be filled not with the noise of ambition, but the music of meaning. And when you reach the end of your days, may people not just say they lived, but they lifted, they healed, they left love behind like footprints. Act as if God is within you, because He is.